One thing you said that really stood out to me was just knowing what data is available. Not saying I know how to do like a join in SaaS or whatever, but just knowing like, hey, we have data here, we have data there. Can we join together to get some information? And then knowing how to communicate that as clearly as possible to the team that does it, because if you sound confusing, they're going to be confused and you're either going to get nothing or the wrong thing back. So I think just knowing how to communicate what you're looking for is super important. But Matt, I'd love to get your take on this as well.
On those conversations, like the capability to discuss an API, for example, if people don't know how to do that, it suddenly becomes, instead of one meeting that's productive, it becomes 5 meetings with a lot of other people. And it's really basic to think about it that way, but what does that mean? That it piles up, it's longer, it's 2 years before we accomplish something that could have taken us a week or two. And now our competitors are in the space that we're not, and or our consumers are not getting the value of our products. And that's more time that our own internal kind of hangups and processes are in the way, when what we're trying to do is really just benefit that end user consumer as quickly as possible. And so from my standpoint with data, I try to create some urgency with my teams as much as possible so that they understand it's not just, well, this is how we do it. It's how many days is it that this consumer is without one of our solutions for a pain point that they have. So let's figure out how to shorten that as much as possible. And oftentimes that comes in the form of upskilling and education and learning and just figuring those things out as quickly as possible. So let's not get in the way of ourselves, doing that. When it comes to data, I think that we've gone through these phases where at first it was like, we need all the data, and then we have too much data, and then let's hire a data scientist, and then all the data scientists quit and all went to Amazon and Google. And now we're going, okay, so what are we left with? We've got these piles of data. Suddenly cookies and other streams that we were planning on having are starting to go away. And we're seeing larger trends away from our ability to take data for ourselves and moving towards consumers' ability to kind of hold their own data and be empowered with that, which is forcing us as marketers to do better. We can't just hack the system and say, well, we are going to follow you around until we're so annoying that you buy this product. Instead, it's who are the creators that you really like? Why don't you tell us, and we'll make this content for you, or we'll watch your behavior in a not so creepy way to deliver some kind of value to you. And so trying to understand value to a consumer, I think, is the best use of data. And as we're kind of being forced to move towards that, as we move away from cookies and tracking and things like that, reevaluating what our relationship looks like with our consumers and doing good with the data and letting them kind of lead that.